show is brought to you in part by Pete's Pub on the corner of Brady Street in Arlington. Pete's Pub offers daily food specials, daily drink specials, weekly trivia, and much more. More information available at petespubonbrady.com. So I would say that the term legend gets thrown around pretty loosely, but in this case, it's valid. We have a very special guest today, a super special guest. This is by far one of our biggest interviews yet. He's the frontman of the rap duo Atmosphere. They've been doing this for over 25 years. Their new album, So Many Other Realities Exist Simultaneously, comes out on May 5th. Minneapolis, Milwaukee, the Midwest connection is there. It's real. This guy's the shit. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Slug from Atmosphere. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for coming on.
You said the word shit. Are we allowed to say the word shit on your radio show? What kind of radio show is it?
Yeah, we can say the word shit.
I'm old, man. Where I grew up at a time where there was words you just could not say. If you said those words, you were taking on a fight with the feds, man.
So we have a surprise guest sitting in on this interview too. Is our third mic today. He has a new album coming out on Friday, Can't Stop, Won't Stop, just like Atmosphere. You can catch him co-headlining a show at North Fratney Street with friend of the show Niall on May 6th at 4 p.m. And he's also going to be putting on a little show here at the Riverwest radio studio next week, May 13th at 8 p.m. I'll be helping out with that one. It's going to be fucking lit, I'll tell you that much. I think you guys probably know who I'm talking about by now. We got Wave Chappelle sitting in on this one. Why don't we start this off? Shit, let's play his newest single, Float.
Yeah, vibing, floating, sliding, we in motion. Okay, she pull up late, I gotta let you know it's always jumping. Why they never see me, ain't always up to something. Vibing, floating, sliding, we in motion. She pull up late, I gotta let you know it's always jumping. Yeah. Why they never see me, ain't always up to something. You know I'm scheming with speed and how I be rushing. I need it, feel like I'm greedy the way I'm hustling. She fiending the way I beat it, bass and percussion. Once it get disgusting, that's in the discussion. Got it out the mud, but somehow I still pull up clean, huh? I hear that they talking what they gon' do when the team come. We up like it's 3-1. She wavy like me or some. Money counter going off, it sound like a machine gun. Count the cash, I count the cash, break it down. I do the dash, chase it down. She got ass, she don't ask, she just take it now. I don't wait around, cause I know my way around. Vibing, floating, sliding, we in motion. Okay, she pull up late, I gotta let you know it's always jumping. Why they never see me, ain't always up to something. Vibing, floating, sliding, we in motion. She pull up late, I gotta let you know it's always jumping. Why they never see me, ain't always up to something.
Tell me she be back around. Yeah. Gang still running. Bet she know my niggas, and long as you ain't slept with them. Selfish understatement, Slum Village, these cadences. Wave issue, guessed it right. And I could never save a chick. Addicted once I lay this pipe. Tell me how I never miss. 10 for 10 while up in here. Gang, let's go on the run. Say she tired of lame niggas. Baby, then let's have some fun. I be out the way, still loading drops up. Ask me why they mad, cause all they drops flop, bruh. If I ain't smoke all this weed, I would've fucked around and dropped, bruh. I'm trying to just on the shade, I'm trying to from the not the, I'm not the.
Vibing, floating, sliding, we in motion. Okay, she pull up late, I gotta let you know it's always jumping. Why they never see me, ain't always up to something. Vibing, floating, sliding, we in motion. She pull up late, I gotta let you know it's always jumping. Why they never see me, ain't always up to something.
That's a nice little summer song for you. Float from Can't Stop, Won't Stop, coming out May 5th. Let's get back to Atmosphere.
Let's talk about the album name first. I love it. I think it's 100% true that there's different realities that exist simultaneously. So I guess to me, you know, that could mean two things. So you've got people walking around that are living in their own bullshit, like their own reality. but then you've also got the idea that there are things going on around us that we can't see unless we like find a way to lift the veil. So, whether that's through meditation, enlightenment, psychedelics, whatever you want to do it. So how did you land on the title, and what does that mean to you?
Well, I was looking for a title for a song, actually. The closer on the album was a song where my motive for writing it was, based on the concept of each one of us is living in our own realities.
Yeah.
However, if you're fortunate enough to have to juxtapose with other people, those realities intersect, and that space, like a Venn diagram, right? The circles where there's the intersecting spaces, those spaces in between those are our shared realities. Those are where we are, like the four of us right now are having this shared moment. But still, even within this shared moment, my experience right now here is way different from y'all's. You know what I'm saying? And each one of us is having our own experience. And so just to acknowledge that, there's a shared experience going on, but in the same moment, our takeaways or our individual experiences within that shared experience could be vastly different. And this was kind of speaking to where most of this album came from, which was, we started writing this in the middle of what we can refer to as the lockdown, the COVID lockdown in 2020. We started writing the first song on the album. It's called Okay. We wrote that. I wrote the words to that in August of 2020, where we were in the middle of lockdown, and then here in Minneapolis, the police murdered George Floyd, and so we had an uprising, and then we started to watch uprisings take place all over the country. Whereas again, there's this shared experience, but we're all having these different realities within there. And then I don't know about Milwaukee, but here in Minneapolis and in some other scenes, there was like a lot of, I guess we would say, there was a moment of people being called in the arts community, brought into the light for, disrespectful and abusive behaviors. And it was hitting the arts community here really, really largely, at least if you lived here, it felt really, really intense. You know what I'm saying? People were sharing their experiences. People were, it was like, so all of this at the same time, with the lockdown, with the George Floyd and the uprisings, with the call outs that were happening, this is what I was living in when I started making this project. And so when I got to the last song of the project, I wanted to write a song that was, the beat that Ant gave me it was a long one. It was like 6 minutes or something. And there was lots of stuff going on, oftentimes in this genre of music that I love, the music is like, here's your template, and this is what you work with. Let's get the energy going. But this particular beat he gave me, there's a lot of different stuff going on. In one part of the beat, there'll be sound like somebody jingling some chains, and then over here in this part, there's like an instrument that I don't even know what that is, a didgeridoo. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like
didgeridoo, nice.
The song itself was going through these different, what I consider to be realities, And so when I was writing that song, I was like, I need a title for it. I'm gonna call it So Many Other Realities Exist Simultaneously. But then I was like, man, I want to call the album that, because I hadn't had a name for the project. I wanted to wait till it was finished and we could sit and look at the whole thing. And so I realized, well, that would be a good name for the overall project, because it kind of
100%. You made the right choice there.
It speaks to what this project was, what it was to create it, the process we went through, but also our environment, what we were surrounded by during the time of making it, And so then we ended up changing the name of that song, because I was like, well, I don't want to have a title track on the album, especially one that long, right? And so we changed the name of that song to Sculpting with Fire, because it was, in a weird way, another way for me to speak on what I was trying to speak on. With there was a conversation I had with a rapper named Nino Bless, where we were talking about there's sculpting is an interesting form of art, because you're actually taking away from something to make something. So let's say you're sculpting a chainsaw sculpture on a big tree, right? You're tearing off parts of that tree and tearing it apart, but at the same time you're creating this, I don't know, a bear or owl or whatever it is that you're sculpting out of it. But the idea of sculpting it kind of opened my mind up to thinking about art in those terms. What do you strip away what can you strip away to create? And then the idea of sculpting with fire, I was just like, that's amazing. Cause it's like, that's kind of what I felt like we went through in 2020, 2021. We were sculpting with fire. You know what I'm saying? We were using fire to take things away. We were ripping things down to create something new, you know? And so again, all of this stuff got pretty intertwined for me, the making of this particular project. You know, oftentimes me and Anthony will have a few different things that we're working on at one time, but this was one where we started this project and we really did not lift our heads up until we were ready to turn it in to the label.
Yeah, and I think from what I've gotten the chance to listen to obviously your singles, and I think going through on Apple, there's a couple other ones beyond the singles that you're kind of slowly rolling out and available to listen to. But when you speak about the creative process, this is when I want to throw it over to Wave.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, one, I just got to commend you on that album name, dude. That is amazing. Just even like hearing how you got to that name from that instrumental that you heard, that is like really, really fire. Just to take those different elements, how you heard this part of the beat over here, this part of the beat over here, and then come up with that title. I just got to commend you. That is fire right there. But to the question I want to ask you, what's the creative process going into the rollout? You know what I'm saying? Like even rolling the singles out, what kind of went into that? What went into you choosing the singles that you decided on? What went into this rollout?
That's a great question. So just in my experience with making music and then the other side of it, releasing it commercially or you know, trying to suggest to people they should listen to it, you know, I've gone through many evolutions of what that looks like, you know. So for the last 25 years of doing this, it has changed drastically from what it looked like back in the late 90s to what it looks like now. And so, you know, thankfully I have a team. I've had a team for a long time. So more importantly, I should say, thankfully, I have finally learned to stop being such a control freak that I can truly collaborate with my team. And so when they bring ideas to the table of like, well, here's what we think we should do for a rollout this time, I trust the process because I know, well, they're a lot more in tune with how the industry works currently. Because I'm a 50-year-old man living in a basement. To me, it's still 1997, you know? And so it's like, I am able to look to the team and listen to their ideas. And then when something they say intersects with my reality, my ears perk up and I go, hey, let's explore that because that makes sense to me, even though you're coming at it from like a new way of looking at it or a new lens that I'm not necessarily, you know, fully know how to interpret, but I like the concepts. And so basically all that to say this, the ability to trust my team is huge and to trust their opinions and their vision. That's the biggest part. When you could trust another person's vision, because oftentimes as artists, we have this idea of what this is. And anytime somebody steps in and tries to say that they got a different vision, we get defensive or we dismissive or who knows what, you know? And so me learning how to like let some of that other stuff in has been a big part of the creative process for this rollout. Also, I turned in a project to them, and I'm going to try to do this forever, is to go, hey, here's my project. Any songs y'all want to make focus tracks, I'm down. I believe in every single song on here for exactly what it is. Now, if you pick that song, it might require me to maybe pivot or shift how I approach what you want me to do. But every single song on here, I'll let y'all pick it because that's y'all's job. Y'all got to figure out how to sell it. I just have to figure out how to stand next to it, you know, proud and defiantly, like this is me, you know. So as long as I'm on my game and making sure that I can stand next to everything, then it's a little easier for me to kind of listen to what everybody's got to say and not be the one that's like, no, we got to make this a single or we got to make this a song. You know, I was pretty adamant about the first single, or I shouldn't say single, but because I don't think we do singles anymore, but the first video being for the song called Okay.
I love that song.
I wanted to lead with the hope. I wanted to lead with the optimism. I wanted to lead with, because oftentimes, man, atmosphere makes music that takes itself a little bit too serious and it gets dark and it gets heavy. And so when we do have a song that is light, I really like to, it's almost like I know how rare those are for us. And so I really want to always put emphasis on those. And so that's why a song like Sunshine or Best Day or Okay, these songs are a little bit more optimistic. And so I lean onto those heavier, maybe it's just a way to try to manifest that into my future to make my life a little bit more happier or optimistic. I'm not sure, but I lean heavier on those.
Gonna be alright. It'll be okay. I think that needs to be established for all of us that are easily distracted, impatiently waiting for that American dream, staring at the cracked screen of my anti-fax machine. Crash landed where the woke intersect with the exhausted. They asked if I'm depressed, I don't doubt it. I was told it all began as a quest for some knowledge. Progress after you process the conflict. I'll be okay. And if I got one wish, I'd probably waste it trying to make myself an optimist. It's ironic because most of my thoughts are positive. Just hop in the whip, I promise not to drive off of the cliff. Happiness is my favorite physical feature, but I'm afraid I'll figure out that it's a mythical creature. I need to believe in a simulation that we living in. Spent the whole stimulus check on some stimulants. I'll be okay. Just freestyle the answers. If you feel it, put your hands up in front of surveillance cameras, okay? I don't take the buffet for granted, make you understand it when you see me licking my plate. We gotta travel through space to keep the family safe. Check your connections, can they handle the bass? If they reflect your face, it amplifies the existence of your significance, but only if you survive the collision. It'll be okay, even if you're feeling like there ain't no way. You're still with us today, it's gonna be okay. Okay. Alright, it'll be okay. Even if you're feeling like there ain't no way, you're still with us today, it's gonna be okay. Okay. I think I'm feeling alright, and I'll admit that sometimes I'm probably tongue-tied. Got me staring at the sun like my shoes ain't come untied. The clown face got replaced by this mountain of the Midwest average from the mid-2000s, And being the best was never the intended destination. I just want appreciation for my presentation. Even if I was the only human left in population, this is dedicated to the dedication. You better love yourself today, cause tomorrow will be harder. Put your guard up, don't let them penetrate your armor. Collect whatever crumbs you got and keep them in a bread box. You knew I was the one when I was sleeping in the wet spot. And maybe if you had $1 for all of your doubters, maybe you could grow a salad and water the flowers. I know the zookeeper seen my leash and my collar. I'm in a tuxedo smoking in the shower. It'll be okay, even if you're feeling like there ain't no way. You're still with us today, it's gonna be okay. Okay. Alright, it'll be okay. Even if you're feeling like there ain't no way, you're still with us today, it's gonna be okay. Okay. I think I'm feeling alright.
But man, you know, I feel like I'm saying a lot of words to answer your question. Just to go straight up, I feel like the most important part of the creative process for the rollout is genuine. Just to be really genuine with what I'm doing, be able to feel like I could stand next to what I'm doing, to not look at things and be like, why am I doing this? You know, or I'm not feeling this, you know, because for so long, I tried to play some of those games, especially as an independent artist. You watch what's happening in the larger room, and you, instead of us coming up with new rules, we do these weird independent versions of what they was doing. And it seems so counterintuitive to me, you know, especially now as I'm older. I'm like, man, why did I waste time and money mimicking an underground version of what the mainstream was doing? Not musically or creatively, but just from the industrial side, the rollout side, you know?
Marketing.
Exactly. So now I'm more interested in those creative and just awesome artistic ideas that we can come up with and do that don't just feel like we're mimicking the bigger boys. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, you know, with this one, I gotta lay it on my team. My team was really, you know, all the way to the president of the label, the owner. Like he was stepping to the table like, I got an idea for a video. You know, I was like letting everybody come to the table with their ideas, and it felt great. It felt, you know, organic. It felt right. And I feel like I'm a part of something that is not just my control. I'm a Virgo, bro. So I'm like constantly always like everything has to make sense. I have OCD when it comes to making sure everything makes sense. And this time I was able to kind of like let go of some of that and just trust the process, trust other people's visions. And it's a lot more fun. I used to say, man, I needed to control it all because that way, if this crashes, I can't blame nobody but myself.
Your fault. Your
Yep.
fault. You'd rather it be your fault, right?
Yes. So now I still have that lens. I still see it like that, but I'm letting these other visions come in. But at the end of the day, I still want to be able to take credit for the errors. But when it comes to the wins, I love sharing the credit for the wins. I just don't want to share the credit for the losses. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of feel like applying that to my life has been advantageous, even just not even from the atmosphere side of my life, but just in general, being able to, just in life, just make sure you can take credit for your losses because that's accountability. Right. And then, but make sure you can share credit for the wins because that's the gratitude of life. You know what I'm saying?
So now, Chris, you're a Leo, right?
I'm a Virgo.
So we got 2 Virgos. Wade, what are you?
I'm an Aquarius, man.
And I'm a Scorpio. I was hoping we had 4 different ones because I was going to say we got one season right here in the building today. But Chris, what do you got for Slug?
Well, number one, my best friend growing up in high school, he introduced me to your music. He's no longer here with us, so I'm just glad that this is coming full circle to be able to interview.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you for being here. You've spent a lot of time, touring. You've spent a lot of time in Milwaukee. What do you like about this city?
Yeah, I love Milwaukee. It's been earlier. I had a tumultuous relationship with Milwaukee because we would come to play shows there, and there was like, because of the proximity to Minneapolis, it was almost like you would have competition with the artists there. You know what I'm saying? Milwaukee, Madison, Chicago, Des Moines, you would go into these cities and the artists there would look at you like, why are you coming into my city? You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't. Nowadays it's a little bit different because, I think that, things like the internet expanded and opened the world up so much that people realize love is no longer this limited resource. It's like, but it used to be like, why are you coming into my city trying to take the love that I'm supposed to receive? Yeah. That was what it was like in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? And so we had to battle. We had to kind of, I don't want to say bop our way through like the Warriors, but we had to like really get tested. We got tested in all these towns. Once we started getting places like LA or New York, nobody tested us anymore because they were just like, oh, how'd y'all get all the way out here? They were just excited to see some country kids from Minnesota make it, into their town. But those early days when we first started trying to creep out into the Midwest, we would have to battle. We would, and it was exciting. It was good, but it would just create vibes, you know what I'm saying? And beefs and, all kinds of weird little things where it was kind of like, man, I feel like I'm a local rapper again, but now in somebody else's city, Now when I come to Milwaukee, I love it. And I'll tell you what, man, especially post-COVID, I don't know what happened, but Milwaukee is like cracking. It's like
it is,
bro. You guys, like because I come there with my kid. We come to skate y'all got a big indoor skate park there that we go to.
Nice, yeah.
So when we come there, man, it's like we kick it, we go eat, we go run around, and it's like we're on vacation. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a cracking ass town right now. But But I love playing shows there. I love playing, even the rave. Back in the day, I used to be scared of the rave because everybody would talk all these ghost stories and whatnot. But now I love playing at the rave. I love the Summerfest joint. I love, there was another spot that we used to kick it at, the theater, the Pabst.
That's still there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
that's still there.
There's another one too that was like, it was kind of downtown. Before the downtown rebuild kind of popped off, but there was like I'm trying to remember what it was. It was like a second floor joint. Not Riverside. That's a big theater too. This was more like this was a club kind of situation or a hall. It was on the
Turner Hall.
Turner Hall. That's the joint. Yeah. Yep.
That place.
Yep. That place was fun. That place was fun. Yeah. Always, but even way back in the day, there was a show in Milwaukee called the Late Night Hype Show, and DJ Aaron Wade and JB used to book us to come through and play a show at like Why Not 2. I don't know if y'all know that spot, but it was like or Ty Joe's. There was a spot called Ty Joe's back in the day. They would book us to come play shows there, but really it was all about getting us on the radio show to freestyle because they know we would show up and me and Idea would battle each other on air, or they knew they would get something goofy from us. You know what I'm saying? Because that was kind of our reputation back there, is we would just kind of show up and just
go
whatever you want, man. We got it. We'll do it.
Yeah.
You know
that's kind of where you and Wave are similar, because there's a lot of people that don't want to freestyle on air, probably because it's not you don't want to look stupid. But Wave just dropped one last week with a radio station here in town. He crushed it. It's a lost art. What do you think, Wave?
Hey man, nah, for sure. No, when you were saying that, I'm like, man, no, I commend that dude because freestyling, that is like the lost art. We're like the last samurai, you know what I'm saying? The people that are willing to, just go straight off the creativity, you know what I'm saying? So that's dope.
We still freestyle every show that we can. Once in a while there'll be a festival where it's like you only get 45 minutes, and so it can be kind of difficult to work a freestyle in when I'm obligated to play Sunshine and trying to find a balance and F you Lucy. But when it's our own party, when we're like on like a headline tour or something, there's always going to be a freestyle in the encore. And I try to tell the audience, because nowadays some of the audience does not even fully understand what is happening. You know what I'm saying? And so I give them a little explanation like, hey, this is what this is. Bro, I warn them, and then I require their consent. I'm like, yo.
Oh, that's very progressive of you.
You got to want me to do this. And then when they say, no, we don't want you to do it, I do it anyway. And it's just like, it's because to me, it's like, and it's funny because I went through my phases where I looked at rappers who couldn't freestyle and I would kind of be judgmental and et cetera, et cetera. And now that I've, gotten older and looked at it all, I'm just like, man, it's just another piece in the arsenal. If it's something you can do, that's beautiful. But I know plenty of rappers that are amazing that can't freestyle to save their life. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, so I'm just happy that it's something that I can do because it just gives me that lane that maybe somebody else can or can't. You know what I'm saying? And I also I like doing it with other artists because I love that moment of, it's like jazz, bro. You got to listen. As much as you got to play your instrument, you also got to listen to this other person playing their instrument because it's all. And to me, that's the best part of freestyling is when you're freestyling with other people, because that's where you get those moments where it doesn't even matter if you came in at a 10 or if you came in at a 4. What matters is in that moment, did you guys create something? Making something out of nothing, which is all this art is, bro. Like this art came from disenfranchised Black and brown people who made something out of literally nothing, and it took over the world. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like the testament of that, the power of that. I think that anything that you can do to still contribute and honor that is important, and I think freestyling is one of those things.
For sure. And you talk about all over the world because we know you got a European tour coming up.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, you're going to be in London on the 11th of May, Amsterdam the 12th, Germany, Scandinavia, all over. You've performed. How do the international shows compare to stateside here? Is it kind of like the same vibe, same atmosphere, if you will?
I've seen some wild videos from overseas shows.
For us, it's different for everybody because I watch a lot of videos and I see what it's like for like the Far Side. Or Souls of Mischief, I think are over there right now. But then I also see what it's like for bigger name acts who have radio hits. For us, I look at it like this: it's the vibe is the same, but it's a little smaller. Our community over there is not quite as big, and there's a number of reasons that is. I mean, one, I don't really have the resources to just blanket other territories with my posters and blah, 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 to push myself down their throats. But also, you got to look at, okay, what we do and who needs it. Because remember, music and specifically this music, it's like there's so many different branches to this tree of hip hop. And anybody could find a branch that they love, a branch that they want to hang their swing from. And the branch that I'm on, doesn't speak necessarily to, like, let's say, people who are on a day-to-day being oppressed. Right. Mm-hmm. My rap speaks more to let's say the blue collar common person who's, just looking at life, trying to figure out what this is. And that's a privilege. Let's keep that real, too. It's a privilege to be able to take time to go, what is life? Because a lot of people in life don't even get that opportunity. They're just struggling through it.
They're just
exactly.
Doing it.
Yeah. So let's look at it. Why does my music work in a place like LA? Why does my music work in Colorado, in the Midwest? Why does it work in Texas? But I couldn't play a show in Mississippi to save my life because the kids in Mississippi don't need what I am talking about. Or I go to New Orleans and my crowd's a little bit smaller because New Orleans already got their own thing. What they need me for? You know what I'm saying? Atlanta, they got their own giant thing. What do they need me for? Right. But anywhere that I can go where there are people, let's say, similar to me, then there's an audience for me. But people are like, well, how come you don't ever get into Eastern Europe? And I'm like, well, because Eastern Europe is hardcore. They want to hear gangster rap. And that, really, they want to hear gangster rap in Eastern Europe?
Yeah.
And hell yeah, they do, because that looks more like the struggles that they're coping with. You know what I'm saying? Like you ain't sitting in a bread line listening to Atmosphere in your headphones. You feel me? It's like
with fucking tanks driving by, blowing shit up.
Right.
And stuff like
you know
that.
what I'm saying? And so again, Europe, the vibe it's the same vibe. Everybody that comes for they're trying to refill their cup with something. The music that we make, they're looking for something in it. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's not just like, I don't make music for you to just do the dishes to. You feel me? I don't make music that gets played in the club. I make music that's like, hey, this is for some of us to refill our cups with.
Doesn't take much, and that's messed up, because these people do a lot of simple shit to impress us. While everyone was trying to outdo the last man, I was just a ghost trying to catch some Miss Pac-Man. Hello ma'am, would you be interested in some sexual positions and emotional investments? See, I'm not insane, in fact I'm kinda rational when I be asking, yo, where did all the passion go? East Coast, West Coast, down south, Midwest. Nowadays everybody knows how to get fresh. Somebody give me a big yes. God bless America, but she stole the beef from Bless. Now I'm too fucked up to dance, so I'ma sit with my hand on the front of my pants. You can't achieve your goals if you don't take that chance. So go pry open that trunk and get those amps. You know, days of kings and queens, I was a jester. Treat me like a god, or they treat me like a leper. You see me move back and forth between both. I'm trying to find a balance, I'm trying to build a balance. In the days of kings and queens, I was a jester. Treat me like a god, or they treat me like a leper. You see me move back and forth between both. I'm trying to find a balance. I'm trying to find a balance. I'm trying to build a balance. I'm trying to find a balance. I'm trying to build a balance. So now I keep a close eye on my pets, because they make most of their moves off of instinct and sense. It's eat, sleep, fuck, and self-defense. So straight, you can set your clocks and place bets. Wait, let's pray on a blind, deaf, dumb, dead. Hustle, maybe a couple will love what you said. MCs drag their feet across a big naked land with an empty bag of seed and a fake shake of hands. Yeah, I got some last words. Fuck all of y'all. Stop writing raps and go play volleyball. Gotta journey the world in a hurry, cause my attorney didn't put enough girls on the jury. Guilty of dropping these bombs in the city, but I'm innocent. Love is the motive, that's why I'm killing them. Guilty of setting my fire in all 50, but I'm innocent. Blame it on my equilibrium. In the days of kings and queens, I was a jester. Treat me like a god, or they treat me like a leper. You see me move back and forth between both. I'm trying to find a balance, I'm trying to build a balance. In the days of kings and queens, I was a jester. Treat me like a god, or they treat me like a leper. You see me move back and forth between both. I'm trying to find a balance. I'm trying to find a balance. I'm trying to build a balance. I'm trying to find a balance. I'm trying to build a balance. I'm trying to find a balance. I'm trying to build a balance. I gotta find my balance. I gotta find my balance. Now all my friends are famous. See the one thing or another. Y'all don't know what my name is. Probably know both of my brothers. One is a hard-working savior, the other's a hard-working soldier. I'm just your next-door neighbor, working hard and trying to stay sober. Wait for the car at the corner, pretend like you know what the plot is. Won't quit till I hit California, make you my Golden State Garden.
And so the people that come to the show, they come looking for that. So the vibe is the same, but it's just that there's certain pockets in the world where it's smaller and certain pockets where it's bigger. It just kind of depends on what's going on in that pocket. You know, I've never played a show in Greece or Italy. Why they don't need me. They got EDM, they got dance music, they got their own traditional music. You feel me? But if you look at even the rap music in those territories, there's nothing like me, because that's not what they're there for. It's different.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I wanted to ask you, man. So I know you're about 20 plus years into your career. I wanted to ask you what keeps you fresh and like creative and like motivated. You know what I'm saying?
That's a great question. And my answer to that might be weird. Here's the thing, in my skin, in my experience, it's there's a constant fear that I'm not fresh. There's a constant fear that am I about to get fired? Feel me? Like it's like, and I think that with that, what it is maybe there's a part of my parents in me that is, always living check to check, always living on that edge, always being worried about what's going to happen next. So that I think is a big motivator. You feel me? It's like one of those things where it's like, man, this is the best job I've ever had. I've always said that. I say that I've had a lot of jobs in my life, and this one, I didn't get to go full time until I was 30. It was 2002 when I was like, quit all my other jobs. But, prior to that, I had 15 years in the labor movement and horrible jobs. So this job, I don't want to lose. There's another motivator, but really the biggest motivator is my better half, Anthony. My friendship with him, my relationship with him, the fact that we've been able to do this for this long with very, very minimal head bumping has been I could not ask for a different situation. Like I'm so happy that I met him. I'm so grateful to the rapper that introduced me to Ant back in 1994 because it changed my life and the trajectory that it sent me on, not just career wise, but even just artistically and creatively. Anthony produced me, and I don't just mean he made my beats, but that dude taught me how to make a song. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so with that, I have to honor that friendship and that relationship by always trying to impress him. And that is probably my biggest motivator. When I sit down to write a song, the only thing I'm thinking about is, will he react? Will he laugh? Yeah. Will he cry? Will he be like, "Ooh, are you sure you should say that?" Will he have a reaction? And if he has a reaction, then I know this is I'm on the right track.
Good.
I know that Wave has a guy like that. He goes by the name of Menabeats.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love that. I can relate for sure. That's dope.
I've got a question for you. What's kept you in Minneapolis all this time? Like, what does the city mean to you? I mean, Prince never left either, so you're in good company with that.
No, to be fair, Prince had a house in LA.
Yeah, but
so he was able to just come and go as he pleased.
He just teleported. He had some magic powers for sure.
That's an evolving answer. It's a great question. The answer depends on what year you ask. So right now in 2023, first I would say, man, I don't even know. But the truth is this, okay? The economy here is one that is maneuverable for me. So it's like I can do this job. If I lived in Los Angeles, I would go broke. I wouldn't be able to afford a mortgage there, but I can do it here because the cost of living is better. So I stay here, I stay based here, and then I just try to go places to get my resources. You know what I'm saying? And but earlier in my life, when I was 20, I had my first kid, and that became the stitching that tethered me to Minneapolis. I was like, I can't ever leave Minneapolis unless him and his mom leave.
Right.
And then my family is based here. My mom still lives here. One of my brothers still lives here. And now I've got another batch of kids, and they're in school, and they all got friends, and don't nobody. I'm like, man, we could go to Maui. Y'all want to move to Hawaii? Nope. Y'all want to move to Oslo? Y'all want to go anywhere? Nope. We want to be right here with our friends. Same with my wife. She's got a support circle, a friend group that's very tight. And so to keep it real with you, I would go if it was just me. if I was like single and 50 and who I am, I probably would at least spend some time traveling the world without having to perform. You know what I'm saying?
Like traveling without work.
Bro, I've never, the first time I left the state was for a show, and I rarely leave the state unless it's for a show. Even when me and my family like put together little vacations, we just go up in northern Minnesota into the woods. Like we don't even go You know what I'm saying? It's like, and so I also am stuck in this mind state that I'm not allowed to leave unless there's a show tied to it. If I got a show in Florida, I might bring the family with for that festival, and then we'll spend a couple days in Florida to spend the festival money. But for the most part, I don't leave unless there's like some sort of opportunity to go and get some resources to bring back here, you know. I got to change that though. I know I do. I know I got to figure out how to like go have fun and love other stuff, but I do really love my work. You know what I'm saying? And so it might be partly that, you know, but yeah, I love Minneapolis. It's where I grew up, but I'll be honest, man, this place has not been the same since 2020, you know, specifically since the George Floyd murder. Like this place has been, you know, it's like I was talking about Milwaukee's bounce back post COVID is beautiful to see, you know. I'm just over here waiting for this one. You know what I'm saying? Like
for sure. And Milwaukee, I can totally get that because Milwaukee had gotten bad press for a long time. And I think the combination, I mean, we got lucky with landing Giannis and having him. He has literally like created the whole downtown area. They built a new stadium, this entire district, all these new businesses. Like the city is like exploding because of him. I see Chris smirking over there. He thinks it's the GM that should get all the credit, not Giannis on the court. But yeah, Minneapolis, obviously completely different vibes. I mean, Milwaukee's a little bit more of a blue collar town than Minneapolis, always been. Minneapolis is a little bit more bougie, but yeah, I mean, I grew up in St. Cloud. I spent the first 8 years of my life in Minnesota. My father, he lived in the Twin Cities for a long time. And I would have never in a million years guessed that Minneapolis, out of all the cities in the world, in the U.S. would be like, this is where that would happen.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, and you made a grave mistake a second ago when you said that Milwaukee was blue collar and Minneapolis was bougie, because now
I said a little bit more blue collar.
You just cursed it. You guys are about to get hella bougie now. This is,
yo,
and you have my condolences.
Hey, yo.
But you know, Minneapolis is it always has had that weird. Well, I wouldn't say always, but since the 90s, it gathered this kind of like people saw it as this bougie space because the gentrification started super early here, but the neighborhoods are still super blue collar, and it was that way when I grew up too. You know what I'm saying? And not only blue collar, but hella single family homes. You know, just like any city, basically. You know, it's systemic. They do this on purpose. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and so Minneapolis had all that. It's just that for some reason, because of the and I'm gonna make sure the caveat to what I'm saying comes along with that. I don't really know what the hell I'm talking about, but I'm just gonna tell you my theory. Because of the cheap real estate, we attracted some different corporations that came in and started handing out factory jobs. That's what got us that kind of blue collar thing going on here in like the 50s and 60s and 70s. And then somewhere in the late 80s, early 90s, the ad agencies caught on to the cheap real estate. So they started setting up corporate spaces all over here, and that started to attract the art schoolers, and that started to attract the musicians.
Like Target, Best Buy.
Yes, Best Buy, 3M, IBM, back when that was a thing. You know, all those things came and made this home base because I think the state was handing off real estate like, yo, if you to corpse, you know what I mean? Like, if you want to come here, we'll hook you up. We'll be nice on the taxes. You just got to give up the jobs, you know? But with that said, you know, I would say this, like anywhere, I feel like there's a bounce back happening that's just natural, especially post COVID, but also just kind of like, we'll say, you know,
the wounds are healing a little bit. Slowly.
The wounds are healing, but I'm saying this. I would take this all the way back to like the 60s and 70s. You know, like when all these different cities, you got your Cleveland and you got your Cincinnati's, and all these different cities were trying to figure out how to one up and how to like make themselves break off. You know, the river cities were the last ones to go because they were holding on to this like concept that the river was the reason the city existed. Because, you know, 100 years ago, those were the poppin' cities. If you had a river go through your city, then you could move stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so, and you guys are right on the lake. Same thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, we can move stuff into Milwaukee because we'll bring it in off of the lake. You know, go up and down the coast, off the rivers. Now that water is no longer this like important thing to a city anymore, that's when you saw places like Milwaukee, Minneapolis. They started to hit their like depression sessions. You know what I'm saying? But But the bounce backs are real, man. And I think that's important. And I think that a lot of that just came from also people being able to do jobs from home, because it's like, yo, I don't have to live in New York to work a New York job. So I can go buy a much more affordable home in a city like Milwaukee and still do my New York job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
And still get that New York paycheck. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's really the secret to a lot of this, I think, is that people are able to get those New York and LA paychecks from other towns. You know, I mean, dude, Montana is booming right now. It's out of control. Like it's like places that you would have Boise,
Wyoming too. These
Wyoming
are like places
too.
where all the billionaires are like buying
Idaho is cracking. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's because people realize, yo, I don't have to live in San Francisco in order to make this pop, you know?
Yeah, and as we talk about the U.S. here, I mean, obviously you're going to be going on tour this summer. So, Chris, what were you going to ask him about that?
Yeah, well, I know you just dropped your recent single, "Holding My Breath." Music video comes out tomorrow. It definitely has a summertime vibe. You're going to be on the summertime tour with Sublime with Rome, Slightly Stupid. Tell us about that. Like, do you like touring with these guys? What are your tours like?
I went on a tour with Slightly Stupid back 10 years ago, actually, 2013. A friend of mine who at the time was booking them, he was their booking agent. He was just like, you got to try this. And I was like, all right, let's see what happens. And it was the first time I ever had done a tour with a group that was not a rap group. And I was
going to say, I don't think I've ever seen you on the same card as like Sublime with Rome and Slightly Stupid. So this is a little new for you.
Well, it was also the first time I ever did a tour where I wasn't the headliner. Like I did a whole tour as an opener, and
I loved it.
I loved it because they were bringing in an audience that had no idea who we were and giving us the opportunity to either fall on our face or impress them. And I loved the challenge. I had a great time. And after that, we started playing like a lot more of the reggae festivals around the country. We'd already been doing reggae shows at reggae festivals in Europe because the hip hop and reggae was already kind of like cross genre over there. But over here, that was our introduction to that. And then since then, you know, we've played like a lot of the reggae festivals around the country.
Feel like a stowaway, okay. I'm positive that it's a negative connection. I got a cup full of Novocaine, okay. Stairway to heaven, hope my name's on the guest list. Go away. My stress gets trapped between the shoulder blades, searching for some benefits for perfect attendance. Keep attention span attentive like we dance around an open flame. I'll trade a couple silver linings for some golden days. I confess I'm still trying to impress Papa. I guess that I'm expecting I'll see him again. Ha ha, laughing on a cloud in some wings and a toga, and he's asking why I never left Minnesota. Keep in mind, previously thought impossible to find all of these pieces that were needed to complete the design. I'm on the final lap, then I go back to give my wife a spinal tap. Still writing rhymes like somebody got the time for that. The temperature's rising, but it's colder than hell. I never feel alone when I'm alone by myself. I try to sing along, but I don't know what you said. And I'm not suffocating, I'm just holding my breath. The temperature's rising, but it's colder than hell. I never feel alone when I'm alone by myself. I try to sing along, but I don't know what you said. And I'm not suffocating, I'm just holding my breath. Tell me, do you ever feel like an accident? Have you ever felt trapped beneath an avalanche? Do you ever ask if this experience is seriously happening? Me neither, I can't imagine it. We gotta pick up the pieces and keep traveling. Or maybe you could handle a hammer and build a ladder and explore the storm to find the source of the hunger and the pain. I stole a horse so I could run towards the thunder and the rains broke. And now this beast is my bestie. We used to chain smoke and now we drinking our veggies. We tell the same jokes and pretend that it's okay. Already know what hell felt like when it's frozen over snow-covered roller roller coaster, stuck in the alleyway. Dreaming about the day my poster's up in the gallery. Feel the cold breeze brought me back to reality. I gotta get these groceries back to my family. The temperature's rising, but it's colder than hell. I never feel alone when I'm alone by myself. I try to sing along, but I don't know what you said. And I'm not suffocating, I'm just holding my breath. The temperature's rising, but it's colder than hell. I never feel alone when I'm alone by myself. I try to sing along, but I don't know what you said. And I'm not suffocating, I'm just holding my breath.
And I really love those parties because the people that come to those parties are
pretty chill.
They do not care about the competition. They are not there to outdo each other. Right. Nobody wore their best shoes. You know what I'm saying? It's like
yeah.
Back in the day, you know, we would play hip hop festivals or outdoor hip hop shows, and you would pray for rain because that would be the only thing that would make this crowd relax, because once it rained on everybody, we're all wet. There is no more dichotomy here. There's no more.
So it's like you think
hierarchy.
It's like an image thing, like where people
100%. But I'm guilty of it too. You know what I'm saying? Like I would show up in my good shoes. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's.
But you're on stage, so you're less likely to get them dirty.
You know, but it's just that thing. It's that thing where when I saw how these people were reacting and dancing and not caring about what they look like to the person standing next to them, I was like, oh, this is tight. I like this flavor. You know, I like both. I go both ways with it. You know what I'm saying? I'll rock a hip hop show, rock a reggae show. You know, back in the day when we were coming to Minneapolis, we used to have to play shows with punk rock bands, jazz bands. We would play a show with anybody. So I was always kind of aware of that. You know, you got to sometimes get in front of people that don't know who you are to just even prove to yourself that you still have that it factor. You know what I'm saying? But like, but in a big part, that was kind of what reinforced a lot of the freestyle stuff to me too, because it's like, you know, these punk rock dudes might just stare at you like, okay, hurry up, be done. But when you got to the freestyle, everybody's like, yo, how do you do that? How do you do that? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but
it is it is a nice party trick to pull out, so to speak, if you're like
it's a superpower, man. It's the superpower part of like what we do.
And you on your summertime tour, you're going to be in Somerset, Wisconsin on July 27th, Chicago on July 28th, and then later down the road, Red Rocks September 17th with Danny Brown, Souls of Mischief, some other friends of yours. I love Danny Brown. He's one of a kind. I've seen him live multiple times. I saw him like in Madison at the Majestic Theater in 2014. It was wild. I was definitely under the influence for that show, and it wasn't just drinking and smoking. I'm not going to lie. Souls of Mischief, of course, like one of the best rap songs in the 90s, 93 till infinity. So, I mean, this Red Rock show sounds like it's going to be something special. So how did that all come about?
Well, you know, we have a residency at Red Rocks. We play it every year.
Nice.
And every year I try to curate a lineup that, well, we used to throw a festival here in Minneapolis called Soundset.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that later.
You know, I got to get ready to tap this out because I have a doctor's appointment in 15 minutes and it's 20 minutes away. So anyway, yeah, it's all good. And so via Soundset, I've been able to meet and kind of, you know, maneuver around and work with lots of different artists. And so I don't want to say I've become friends with everybody, but I've become familiar and on talking terms with everybody, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, so when I go to curate these Red Rock shows, it gives me a chance to fall back and go, okay, what do I want this to look like? You know what I'm saying? And I like to create what looks like a mini festival. You know what I'm saying? Like it
really does.
A 6-hour show of different styles of hip hop, you know, and sometimes I'll even throw something else in the mix. Like one time we had Lizzo, Brother Ali, and Lifter Puller, and people were like, Lifter Puller, they were broken up. You know, it's like, well, yeah, but they got back together to play Red Rocks. Who's not gonna reunite to play Red Rocks? You know what I'm saying?
They pick up the phone, they're like, yeah, I think we can do this one, right?
Yeah. But so every year I try to come up with some sort of lineup that will show people that this is not just me coming back to do an atmosphere show. This is a whole party. You know what I'm saying? Like and again, that goes back to just me honoring, I don't want to say paying homage to, but just me honoring what this is, what it was for me as a kid, what it was for me as a young adult, and what it is for me as a grown-ass man, you know?
And I think it goes back to what you touched on, how to stay fresh. And before we let you go, yeah, we had a great time. I do want to take a moment to get serious here. So I lost my dad, Stephen Albertson, to lung cancer, July 3rd, 2013, 55 years old. My parents divorced when I was 6. I went with my mom. I did not get the relationship that I wanted or needed from my father when I was growing up, and it's something I still struggle with sometimes, and started to get better in the last years of his life, and he passed away too soon from, being a lifelong smoker. Your song yesterday about losing your own father, it really does speak to my soul. It's helped me a lot over the years, and I just want to say thank you.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry for your loss, and just to remind you that in his passing, that is one of the most important lessons that a parent can teach their child, is how to cope with that loss of a parent, be gentle with yourself. You feel me? And also, Christian, we kind of glazed over it, but also I want to, honor and say thanks to your homie that turned you on to Atmosphere music. You have my condolences for the fact that you became an Atmosphere fan, and also sorry for your loss as well.
No, I appreciate that. But no, it's got to be, I know you have some very, very poignant, important songs to a lot of people. And I think that's really, really special. And that's how the key to longevity is to create something that lasts. So you're doing it, man. Congratulations on all your success.
Thank you for all the kind words, you guys. And thanks for having me on the show today. I wish you guys the best of a day. I hope you have a great time, a great day, a great week, great month.
Great 2023.
Hey, and congratulations, my man Wave, on the release this Friday.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Back in the day, it used to be a bad thing to compete on release day, but nowadays it actually, I think, is a good thing, because people get into their little Spotify's and listen to the new release, and then they get stuck on there, listen to everything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And what I love, and don't forget this: every time you release a record on these streaming apps, the people go back and they listen to the older stuff too. So my advice to everybody is just fill those streaming apps with as much of your music as possible. If you're going to play the game with the streaming apps, then at least fill it, so that people, when they go and listen to your new album, it reminds them to go back and listen to the old jams too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Man, I appreciate the advice, and even just sharing your story with me, or even allowing me to be here, man, as an artist to artist, man. I really appreciate you, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, you guys have a great day.
Take care.
I thought I saw you yesterday, but I didn't stop, cause you was walking the opposite way. I guess I could've shouted out your name, but even if it was you, I don't know what I would say. We could sit and reminisce about the old school, maybe share a cigarette, because we both fools. Chop it up and compare perspectives, life, love, stress and setbacks. Yeah, so you could tell me how hard you had it, and you can show me all the scars to back it. And we can analyze each complaint, break it down and explain these mistakes I make. I like to tangle up the strings of the puppetry, but you knew me back when I was a younger me. You've seen Sean in all types of light, and I've been meaning to ask you if I'm doing alright. Yesterday, was that you? Look just like you. Strange things my imagination might do. Take a breath, reflect on what we've been through. Or am I just going crazy cause I miss you? Yesterday, was that you? Look just like you. Strange things my imagination might do. Take a breath, reflect on what we've been through. Or am I just going crazy cause I miss you? I'm shook, I know, I pushed when I should've pulled. Took it all back if I could, I put that on my soul. And I would make a top-notch good listener if you could block off a little time out to give it here. Since we went our separate paths, I've hit a couple of snags that remind me of the past. I can't front, I'm having a blast, but damned if I ain't afraid of how long it's gonna last. Sitting here wishing we could kick it. Give me your opinions, I do miss the criticisms. I didn't mean to be distant, make a visit. I wait up and keep the coffee brewing in the kitchen. But who am I joking with? There's no way that you and I will ever get to reopen it. It doesn't matter, this is more than love. And maybe if I'm lucky, get to see you out the corner of yesterday. Was that you? Look just like you. Strange things my imagination might do.
Take a breath, reflect on what we've been through. Or am I just going crazy cause I miss you? Yesterday, was that you? Look just like you. Strange things my imagination might do. Take a breath, reflect on what we've been through. Or am I just going crazy cause I miss you? And when you left, I didn't see it coming. I guess I slept, it ain't like you was running. You crept out the front door slow, and I was so self-absorbed I didn't even know. And by the time I looked up, it was booked up. Put it all behind you, the bad and the good stuff. A whole house full of dreams and steps. I think you'd be impressed with the pieces I kept. You disappeared, but the history is still here. That's why I try not to cry over spilled beer. I can't even get mad that you're gone. Leaving me was probably the best thing you ever taught me. I'm sorry, it's official. I was a fistful, I didn't keep it simple. Chip on the shoulder, anger in my veins, has so much hatred, now it brings me shame. Never thought about the world without you, and I promise that I'll never say another bad word about you. I thought I saw you yesterday, but I know it wasn't you, cause you passed away, Dad. Look just like you. Strange things my imagination might do. Take a breath, reflect on what we've been through. Or am I just going crazy cause I miss you?